Welcome back. In this edition of the OBG Corner, Marco turns his attention on the issue of water accessibility during this drought. Port Moresby has seen little rain over the past 8 months under a dry spell which could last up to March this year, according to the National Weather Services. The pressure on subsistence farming and food security is growing by the day, and the issue of a backup water supply for our sprawling capital city is becoming an increasing urgent matter, according to Chairman for Water PNG, Bill Sweets.
Port Moresby, a city of 400,000 people. Since the last census in 2011, the population has grown as rapid urbanization attracts people from all over Papua New Guinea. The influx has put pressure on existing services. More people flocking into the capital city means more food is needed, better infrastructure, and certainly more water. Although PNG has abundant resources, much of the country's essential resources are poorly managed. Over 5 million people don't have access to safe water, and over 1,000 children die every year from diarrhea caused by poor sanitation. After a long dry spell that lasted nearly a year, rain has finally begun to fall on Port Moresby as well as villages along the coast. Bill Sweet is the chairman of Water PNG, the government entity responsible for bringing clean water to the country's provinces outside the National Capital District. He says there may be a way to move forward only if institutions are willing to listen.
8 to 9 kina for 200 liters and 50 toya for 20 liters. Yeah. Is this the only
no,
supply?
We've got about 10 of them.
10 of them. 11, huh?
11 of them.
Oh. Is it part of the rationing as well, Urbanization is doing?
Oh, well,
you know how they're cutting off the water?
Lucky 2 days ago, yesterday big rain came down and saved us from buying 2 kina from.
Yeah.
So our household has to spend 40 kinas.
30 to 40 kina.
A day?
Yeah, because we had to hire trucks, hire dinghies, go to Koki or Hanubara or there. We get water from there.
Tatana, anywhere?
Tatana there, yeah, we do.
Yeah, okay.
All the way to Baroni, you see some connection there.
Yes.
Our pipe been connected through illegally connection from those Keaton brothers, Atlas Steel, and those settlements there. They did some illegal connections there. So that's why they step our pipe water coming through the villages.
Yeah.
It's very hard for us to, I don't know when. Now you come probably do some assisting to us, and I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the city's definitely grown over the years, just in the sort of high-end commercial and residential buildings. But now you've got governments focusing on affordable housing. You know, they're talking about 40,000, and I think they've just released 5,000. So 5,000 domestic users within, I believe, near the Garahu area. Sort of that growth going out northwest. So it's definitely growing, and the city needs to, you know, cater for that with the population growth. The situation with the water in Port Moresby is directly linked to the power because it's a hydro system. So power and water are fighting for the volume. I'm not a hydro engineer, but from what I understand, the levels of within the dam generate the power, and the lower the level, because of Eduranu's requirement of water usage, the less power we have. So, or less power that's generated. If you're wanting more power, that means you have to have the larger volumes of water staying there and less water coming out. So that's the sort of conflict with the water and power in Port Moresby. You know, Eduranu has a separate source, independent. Then they're free to develop that as much as they want to.
But the water-related difficulties are far from over. While the city expands towards the northwest corridor, industrial projects like the LNG plant and a future refinery will require considerable amounts of water.
You can see with Motor Kia setting up the new ports or harbor ports for NCD, everything's going to gravitate towards them. Shipping companies, industrialized companies that require the movement of transport of product and things like that. So with that, and you'll see that also commercial centers will develop. Soon there's going to be a need for a supermarket out there, and then a small township starts growing, and then pretty soon these small little satellite areas merge into the larger city. Well, with the current act, Eduranu can only operate within the NCD city limits because they originally were NCD water and sewage operated from, and then branded to be Eduranu. And Water PNG, we've declared Central Province as our sort of territory, and that's our responsibility as Central Province, which just coming up now will be I think we're in the boundary now of Central versus NCD. And outside of NCD, you've got the development happening where you have the ports, you have LNG, you have Napa. These are sort of outside the NCD city limits. Part of our strategy of purchasing the asset that we're going to go see at Bunu was to have a backup water system for Port Moresby, but also knowing that the growth of the city was coming out this way, especially the industrial side, with LNG and even the future Total coming out as well. So it's definitely growing out that way, and we want to be prepared for it. But we can't do it alone. We have to have Eduranu on board. We have to have Eduranu sign up for some sort of a purchase share agreement where they purchase the water that we produce, and we can have agreeable rates or amicable rates that everyone wins from, not just where Eduranu or feel that they're not in control or anything like that. So. Yeah, no, we have a lot of water, but we sort of squander it away because we have such an abundance of water. We think it'll be in the rivers and the streams forever. But the biggest problem we have is we don't have safe drinking water or safe use of water. Sure, we have plenty of water, but is it disease-free and there's no health issues? I mean, we need water to live, but we need clean water, healthy water. 3 rivers basically come together, and what happens is it forms one that goes to the ocean, but the overflow is basically what you see here. Because it doesn't channel nicely into one area, it overflows and comes down here and then creates a big lake, which is what we see a remnants of as it's drying down. But you've got the Brown, Goldie, and the Loloki rivers coming together. I believe the Brown River is the biggest river. Loloki is next, and Goldie would be the smallest one. But if we didn't have those 3 rivers converging, this would not be created here. In this area, there hasn't been water levels so low where you couldn't get water from it since 1930s. So there's an abundant amount of water still coming through here, even though we have the El Nino now. We're still getting the water, great resource. Not only is it because it's got the 3 rivers supplying it, but it's on state land. It's on state lease. It's not a landowner issue. It's owned by Water PNG that we have for 99-year lease. Here, a water company owns a resource, and it's available. A year and a half ago, we had Bunu open, and we had everything in place with an MOU with the governor of Central Province to sign, so that we can get 4 or 5 villages reticulated water. And to this day, we're still waiting for that signature from central governor, but we're hopeful that it'll happen soon. We have to really get the members of parliament to be aware and to have them drive the initiatives to get water to the villages. It can't be coming from Water PNG or Edironu. We're just companies, there to provide water if a customer wants to connect to us. Sure, we can promote our business and try to get those sales, but to get water established in a district or an area really needs the push from the members of parliament as one of their priority agenda items that they want to do whilst they're in office. For this area, because there's several villages involved, it's got to start from the central governor, and he promotes that with the individual members of the electorates.
The dry spell that affected Papua New Guinea throughout 2015 seems finally to be over. But it may happen again as the planet struggles with global warming. An alternative water source for Port Moresby seems the least that the capital will need for its future growth.
And that's all from us tonight. For more business news, if you'd like to view this episode again, visit MTV Online at the URL at the bottom of the screen. Or for up-to-the-minute business news and updates, like our page on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at BusinessPNG. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Ian Jarari, and this was Business PNG.